Hi guys, I'm Tracy. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to today's video. So in today's video, I am going to be going over the brushes as well as showing you the ones that I have. I'm going to be showing you guys the Sonia brushes that are recently restocked, or she's announced that she's going to be restocking shortly. I'm going to try to use as many of them as I can. Here are the face ones with a couple of the eye brushes, and then I have a couple right here. I'm going to try to use all of them, and hopefully this will help you guys decide which ones to pick up and which ones you're not going to pick up. So first of all, let me start with the brushes that she has or will be restocking. Well, already the Fusion series has been restocked. I have the soft concealer and the mini base from the Fusion series. I'll be using them today, and I literally just put in my order for the remaining Fusion brushes that I didn't pick up the first time. So when I get that, I can show those at another time. Okay, so the ones that she is restocking aside from the Fusion series, the Cheek Pro, Detail Pro, Designer Pro, Soft Cheek. For the eye brushes, Pencil 2, Worker 1, Worker 3, and Builder 3. And she's also said the Master Face, Face Pro, Inochige Pro, and Face 1. The last four that I mentioned, I don't believe those have been restocked yet, but she did say that they're either on their way or will be here soon. I don't have every single one of these. I have the most of the face brushes, and I have two of her eye brushes. I don't have a lot of her eye brushes because I kind of prefer another brand, but I'll use what I have, and hopefully this will give you a better idea of how these brushes perform. Okay, so I have my foundation and my concealer and my brows done. I am going to now powder. And just kind of keep in mind, it's really hot. I have the air and the fan on, so hopefully that's gonna kind of cool the room down. But I know I've mentioned before, this room that I film in is the hottest part of the house because it's upstairs and it's doesn't have a lot of airflow. So I'm gonna start with the Designer Pro, and this is one that I've been talking about for a long time, and I highly recommend this brush. And the thing that I think it does best is what I'm doing with it right now is powdering, like under eye powdering, areas that you want to kind of mattify. It's really good at like setting your foundation and your concealer. I don't usually set my entire face, but today with the heat and the sweating and everything, I think I am. So that's how I use the Designer Pro, and I believe that one is Tuesday the 10th. I believe that one is back in stock. So that one I feel like is a little bit easier to get versus some of the other ones that I mentioned. But if you do want it, the ones that I mentioned about the restock, I would not wait too long on those. Okay, and then I am going to now show you a couple of, or one of the Fusion brushes, which is the mini base. So this is the brush that she first released in her Kayaki series, that little, the smaller brushes with the shorter handles. So I've been wanting this brush for a long time. I haven't had it that long, probably less than a month. So I've been using it mainly for cream blush, but just for today I'm not going to use it for that because I have so many of the other blush brushes of hers that I want to demo for you guys. So I'm going to use my Danessa Myricks cream bronzer to show you how this applies. Cream bronzer. And I really like this brush. I wanted to get maybe another one, but I didn't. I just got the ones that I was missing so that I had all of them. So what's really good about these, well, the two fusion brushes that I have, it just so evenly applies the cream product, and it just looks very natural. Like, it doesn't look like I have a ton of bronzer or anything extreme. It provides a very natural look. All right, and then I am going to now use the soft concealer. I know this is a concealer brush, but I have been using it for my Suku eyeshadows. And I'm going to use the new palette that I got that I'm really enjoying. It's looks like this. It's the number 10 Yuakane. Yep. So it's got like a blue, a navy blue, a peach, a pink, and a light iridescent shade. Oh, for the iridescent shade, I'm going to use, I'll show you guys the Detail Pro. I really don't use this a whole lot, but I have heard of a lot of people using it for their eyes. So I'll just put on like the first like light layer of shadow. This is just to kind of brighten the area and to set the concealer that I have on there. And then now I'm going to use this brush to put on this kind of like pink shade right here. And I really like the way this brush puts on these types of creamy, like the creamier shimmers, like the other brand that I feel kind of resembles the texture are the Pat McGrath shimmers, except the Suku colors, they're not as intense. They kind of go on more like a wash of color versus Pat McGrath that gives a more intense look. And then, you know, just because I know a lot of you guys out there are more likely to have a Pat McGrath palette versus a Suku palette. So I am going to let me use this like kind of gold. I'm pretty sure this is like a pressed glitter formula. Put it like in the inside more. So I think this brush would also, if you have bigger eyes, probably work even better because of the shape. And I hope you guys can see it. I really like the way the shimmers come out when I use this brush. It's just like so, kind of has like an angelic look. It's kind of like dispersed, you know. And let me just try this more like chunkier shade just to see how it comes out. Okay, so that's how I applied the Pat McGrath. And now that I'm on the eyes, I'm going to show you guys the Builder 3, which is, I believe is already restocked, or if not, it will be very soon. And I'm going to use the Pat McGrath, this really dark matte shade. So this Builder 3 is, I think, meant more for, you know, building intensity on the upper, you know, the eyelid, but I tend to use it for lower lash line lining. I really like the way it comes out with this brush. It provides kind of like a pretty thick line because the brush has like a flat top. It's not pointy. So that's what I use this brush for. I don't know if I would highly recommend this, just because if you're looking for a brush to like build up the intensity of like a shimmer, this will do it very slowly. It would take a long time. But if you're looking for like a very subtle building of eyeshadow, then this will do it for you. I just prefer something to put it on a little quicker. I'm going to try the Cheek Pro, and then I'm going to do the soft cheek on the other side. So here's the Cheek Pro. This is a dense cheek brush. All right, sorry about that. I turned the air up because I was, my face was getting really sweaty. So I am going to, I'm debating whether to use this for bronzer just because it's kind of a little dense, meaning it provides a little bit too much intensity. But you know, I'm going to try it. First, I'm going to use the Cheek Pro on one side and then the soft cheek on the other, so you guys can see the different finishes. So I'm going to use this Bellini brush from Laura Mercier, and it's a pretty light blush, so this would be a really good one for this brush, because if you wanted to get it to show up right away, this will be a good brush for that. And I really like the way it comes out with this brush. And now I'm going to compare it a little bit more just so you guys can see how it looks. Now I'm going to use the soft cheek. I'll use the more recent one that is more likely going to be the one that you can pick up currently. So I use these brushes very differently. With that one I stamp, and with this one I kind of like I don't know, like dust this area. So the soft cheek is I think better for more pigmented blushes, just because of the light dispersed application that it gives, but you can build it up. So I'm gonna build this blush up more so you guys can see how it works. So I think you can see how the blush is more concentrated here, and in this one it's more like dispersed. So that's kind of what you can expect from the two brushes for blush. And now I am going to use the Cheek Pro with the Goa Bronzer. I've never used it with this product, so I apologize in advance if it doesn't come out very good. All right, here we go with the Goa Bronzer. Let me try it like here first so that it So this Goa Bronzer is is a baked gelée formula, so you need a kind of dense brush to pick it up, and I think they did a really nice job. So without bronzer, with the bronzer. So I would say this is a really good brush for these baked gelée cheek products. I would say though, if you have a very pigmented bronzer that might be a little dark for you, this might not be a good brush. You probably want to use something a little less dense and something bigger, because this is it's a fairly small blush brush. But if you are interested in this blush brush, I would run, not walk, because this one is very hard to get. For some reason it's almost always sold out, and when it does come back in stock, it doesn't stay in stock very long. I forgot to mention, when I went to turn the air on, I also did my mascara, and now we are I'm going to show you guys a different blush with the classic cheek. I've had a lot of questions about this brush, and I don't use it a whole lot. It's actually been in storage for a while, but I brought it out just so I can show you guys how it compares to the other blush brushes and you know what you could expect. I'm gonna layer on the Suku blush, which is also a very light blush, and I would say this is good for a light blush, something that is very pigmented and very deep. It's gonna put that product on very strong. So I tend not to use this with anything very pigmented. So this is a really great product for that. So if you just want to put like, you know, a little pop of color right there, I think this will work really well. Because if you see, it doesn't splay very far. Kind of like the hairs stay where you put it. But I think the reason I don't use this is it's not very unique. It doesn't like provide a finish that I can't get with other brushes. I feel like I think I prefer like my Bisotto cheek brushes, or even like my Refer or my Hakuhodo brushes over this one. If you wanted to put like a very specific color, you know, in a little area, this is just not my first or even second choice. But it's a great brush. It's just not something I utilize, so I'm just not gonna highly recommend it. But if you're looking for kind of like a basic blush brush, that is a really great one. But if you have, I think, you know, a pretty good collection of brushes, that might be one that you could skip. All right, and then these are not ones that I mentioned earlier, but I am going to show the smooth buffer. Again, I did videos on this earlier, but just for those of you who maybe are newer to the channel, I'm going to show you guys the smooth buffer. And this one is most similar to the Face One, which she said is being restocked soon. And if you're interested in the Face One, get that right away, because that's a very difficult brush to get. This one seems to be in stock more. The Face One is just a larger version of this. I believe the hairs are the same. It might be a little different. That might have dyed and undyed, whereas this is just dyed hairs. But it's a really great brush for a finishing powder. You know, before I do that, I'm going to show you guys the Detail Pro with highlighter. So I'm going to just use this. Clean this up. I'm going to just use this Hourglass highlighter right here to show you how this applies highlighter. So because of the size, it is going to just, you know, cover a very small area, which is good for doing highlighter. So that's kind of what you can expect. I consider this a very strong application. If you're looking for something a little lighter, I would recommend the Mini Cheek. This one is a little floppier, it's not as dense, and it's a little bigger. So I do use this for highlighter also. So it's going to cover more space, and it's a little bit lighter. Actually, I think, now that I think about it, it looks almost identical as far as the application. So I don't know, I think, you know, these two, if you're using it for highlighter, either one would do. The only downside is you can't use this one for eyes. It's just way too big. But if you wanted to use this to lay down like your first eyeshadow, or to set your eyelids, this is a really good one. Okay, so the last one is the Smooth Buffer, and I've used this for other things like bronzer and blush. I just think it does finishing powder the best over the other things. So I just put like a little bit on there, and I use it to just kind of like blend everything together. Okay, so let me just take this down. It's even hard to get my hair looking nice because it's just so hot today. But all right, so that's pretty much the finished look that I have with mostly Sonia brushes. There are a couple I didn't use, like a couple eye brushes, but the ones that are being restocked or that are a little bit harder to get, I definitely did use them today. If I had to pick out, you know, 2 or 3 that all right, so what I was saying is if I had to pick like a few that I think are must-haves from the restocks, I would say the Soft Cheek, the Cheek Pro, and the Designer Pro. These are very, very useful brushes, especially the Soft Cheek and the Designer Pro. I use these all the time. The most versatile I feel is the Designer Pro. It's good for powdering. You could also do highlighter, which I've done many times. You can do like specific bronzing or blush. So this is a very, very useful brush. And the 2 fusion brushes I have, I really, really like. I especially like this one for eyeshadow, and I really wanted another one, but I just stuck with the ones that I didn't have yet so that I have them all. But even the mini base, this one is so good. And I don't know, there's just something about the way this applies cream products that look like just so natural. Like it kind of looks like you're not wearing contour or bronzer because of the way this applies things so evenly. It blends it out right away. You don't need to go in with another brush. These 2 are just so good. So I don't have them all, but if you are ordering soon and these are in stock, I highly recommend these 2 fusion brushes. And I think that's it. I try to use as much as I can, so hopefully that helps you guys make decisions if you're looking to put an order in for Sonia brushes. And that's all I have. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.